Endo, good to see you. Let's quickly look back at the defeat last week. I think when we spoke, you were saying if we weren't that many points behind at half-time, we were going to go down the slope in the second half. You'd have been relatively happy. Was it a game of mixed emotions? You were quite happy at half-time, then you were really disappointed, thought you were going to maybe do it, and then at the end you just couldn't get over the line? Yeah,
absolutely. I think it was... a little bit like that. I mean, when we spoke last week, I always feel that hill is, it's a 12 to 16 point hill, and we went in at half time 10-0 down because you're always going to find it difficult to get territory when you're going up the hill. And I think we only had one good ball attacking set in that first half on Batley's line, really. So we were restricted. However, I thought we did enough to sort of repel, what was coming at us. And like you said, we were in pretty good spirits at half time. We just knew we had to fix up a couple of areas and we'd get an opportunity. The disappointing thing was, obviously, early in the second half, we conceded 2 tries. I think Batley only... they were up in our half probably on 3 or 4 occasions and they posted 2 tries. So that was the disappointing thing for us. So it meant then we were 22-0 down and having to chase the game to a degree. And we scored 18 points. And actually, we went 22 points to 18 down with, probably 10 to 12 minutes to go. So there was a real opportunity to win the game from there. But unfortunately, our game management in that final sort of 10 minutes just wasn't quite where it needed to be. And we didn't quite have enough to get across the line. So, disappointing. But, overall, there was some encouraging signs at times through there. I thought, the introduction of Adhingano, added something different to us through that middle third, and he was at the hub of a lot of the creative spark that we had, certainly when we were going downhill, and that was a sort of a ploy that we sort of adopted to take to use him in that way. And but unfortunately, like I said, it was just probably too many of the little areas of our game. We just weren't good enough for long enough periods. So I know there'll be a lot of probably fans and a lot of people aggrieved that there was some controversial decisions out there. Let's be honest. But I've made it clear to our playing squad that we can't play the victim. It's nothing. At the end of the day, we can still control some of those areas of our game that I think had we effectively delivered on, we're probably coming away with a win and maybe a more comfortable win. So, the fact that we didn't put ourselves under pressure, you could argue that potentially if some of those calls went in our favour, the outcome of the game may have been different. But ultimately, we can't control those actions that out of our control. So we've just got to focus on doing what we can do. And like I said, our ball control wasn't as good as it needed to be. Some of our contact tackle management wasn't as good as it needed to be, and we need to be better in those areas for longer periods of the game.
I assume you're talking about the grounding of one of the tries. I think you mentioned at full time with Andy.
Yeah.
When you debrief them with your members of your squad, and used the same words there, we weren't good enough overall to get the win. How much do you spend looking back at what went wrong, and how much do you spend actually looking at the positives to try and make sure that everyone does stay upbeat?
Yeah, well, like I said, we've used sort of Tuesday nights as our opportunity to review on the game, and we use it as a bit of a fix-up sort of day for us, and then obviously later in the week we can then progress and build into the opposition. So we've identified those areas last night, and we've worked hard on them last night.
Everyone's still in decent spirits. There's now 1 win in 6, isn't it? You were desperate to get that. You said it was sort of the start of a run of games, because now you've got 3 home games as well, haven't you, to come?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the hope. It was obviously to get on a little bit of a mini run now, leading into this semi-final coming up. So, but look, at the end of the day, it hasn't gone to script. Obviously, fantastic performance and result against Bradford. Just slightly come unstuck there against Batley. So we just got to get back on the horse this week and try and bounce back with a performance ultimately, which will earn us a result at home, and then we can go into the next competition, with a little bit of confidence.
Yes, you got the 3 games at home, the Whitehaven this week, and then obviously the Sheffield game next week. Sure. In the cup. Are you pleased to have 3 games at home back to back? Does that help you build some momentum, hopefully?
Yeah, I don't know. I've not really thought of it like that, to be honest. It's just for me, it's just every week's an opportunity, whether it's home or away. It's an opportunity to try and build your game, progress, move forward. And, at the moment, obviously, we know ourselves, we haven't been consistently good enough over the course of the first 6 rounds. I know there's been some elements that have probably played a small part in that in terms of the disruption with playing personnel through injuries and suspension. We've yet to get that sort of flow within the team or any sort of rhythm, because each week at the moment it's one or two go down. You might get one back, but it's a different position. You've got to move up people out of position, and we're trying to find the right ingredients to get us the strongest team out there. So but I am really confident. I do believe in the group of players that we do have. I've never shirked away from that. I know they're a good group. They're a good quality team. They just probably haven't showed that in abundance just yet. But I really do generally believe that they will come together and turn a corner.
But again, it must be so difficult for some of these players if you're having to ask them to do a job. It's not the job they've been brought in for, but you're asking to do a job virtually on a week-by-week basis.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's the cards we've been dealt with, So, we can't, like I said, I don't want to be in the trap of, we're always looking for excuses or whatever, or playing the victim. So that's the nature of the beast. Yeah, we're dealing with some tough times at the moment. We've got to be strong enough individually and collectively to come through that. And we've proved that before in the past. This group has faced adversity and it has come through it. And I do believe it'll happen again.
Let's look at your players then. You've referenced Atta already, and I think you told Andy at the back of the match last week why you brought him off. Why you brought him on rather than starting him for the game. Is he available now to start now you're back at home?
Potentially, mate, yeah.
How's everyone else then?
Yeah, good, mate. Look, we fortunately we didn't pick up any knocks from the weekend, so that was a really important one, because I was starting to get a little bit like, we picked up another couple on Sunday, then it's really putting us under pressure within the squad with numbers. So we've come through injury free from the weekend, which is great, and then we may potentially have one or two back for this week.
How's Charlie getting on with his concussion?
Yeah, he's progressing. Obviously, he did have a little sort of setback in his return, so potentially will be available for Sunday. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get any training through the week with us. So we'll have to make a call on him.
No, I'm guessing he won't have been able to train either in this 12-day period.
So well, they can to a degree, like that. You progress each stage, so you obviously can't do anything for so many days. And there's like light skills, then you can do sort of non-contact work, then there's contact progression. So, obviously, Hull FC are taking care of his concussion protocol stuff at the moment, and obviously at one stage there he'd had a bit of a setback. So, it just means he's limited on what he can do now for the remainder of this week. So we'll make a call on him whether we do decide to use him or not.
I appreciate you're always probably looking for fresh players. I've seen if some of the players who aren't getting time in your team can go out elsewhere and get any game time. Any movement for the weekend, do you think?
Potentially, mate. Like I said, we'll get a bit more of an idea by the end of this week. Potentially who's going to be available, and then we can make that call. If we want to send one or two out to Newcastle, as we have been doing, we'll do that. We haven't been in a position to send anybody out to Newcastle for the last couple of weeks, but if we do get some troops back this week, we'll be able to facilitate some game time for some of those other players.
And what do you get from those link-ups with other clubs when the players go out to Newcastle? Is it just a case of getting them some game time, or is it for them to go there and learn and just to hear a different voice, maybe listen to you all the time? Yeah,
well, it's for me, it's just an opportunity for them to obviously get much needed game time, so they can get some sort of consistency in their sort of game, but also an opportunity to show us coaches here at York that they're ready to step into the firing line if called. So it's a great opportunity on both fronts. The player gets game time. But also gets to show us that, hey, you know what, I'm ready to come back into this first team. We'll knock on the door of this first team. So it's great that we've got that link up with Newcastle and that opportunity, because I think there's a number of younger players in the game at the moment that don't necessarily get those opportunities, and they're sort of sat in squads and maybe getting one game every sort of 10 games, and that for me doesn't help with their development. They need to be getting consistent game time at whatever level that is, whether it's reserve grade, League One, to really sort of make some mistakes, learn from them, but also improve and develop their all-round game. So when they do make the step up, whether that's in Super League or the Championship, they're better equipped for that opportunity when they get it.
So Whitehaven this weekend, what do you make of their start to the season?
Oh, look, I think Whitehaven have done a tremendous job. Considering they had some financial issues in the pre-season there, that was well documented. That could have really rattled the group and rattled the team. And I think you've got to. I admire Johnny Gawley there, the head coach, a great fellow who's obviously, he stayed loyal to his club and under that sort of pressure and kept his team, together. And they've come out and had some great performances, had some good wins, and were unlucky last week against Featherstone. And they're doing all right at the moment. So they've got some good players in that team, and we're going to have to be, at our best on Sunday if we're going to get a result. That's for sure.
I know York have maybe turned it around a little bit in recent times when they've had to travel all the way to Cumbria. Do you think Whitehaven at home compared to Whitehaven away can be a different kettle of fish at times?
Well, I'm not too sure. It's again, a lot of it comes down to your mindset and your preparation. So look, at the end of the day, we just need to focus on us at the moment. I don't want to focus too much on the opposition. It's got to be more about us getting the smaller detail in our game right. Like I said at the start there, we've not been consistently good enough in doing the basics well for long enough periods in games, and we need to fix that up. First and foremost.
I know you were full of praise again for the supporters that made the journey across to Batley last week. More the same here this week, and I'm sure there will be. Yeah,
I hope so. Like they, I feel for them at the moment because we're not giving them a lot to cheer about. Bless them. And but I thought the commitment they showed on Sunday was first class. The noise they made, the energy. They really tried their best to encourage the lads to get them across the line. So, it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. We certainly appreciate their support, and we hope to hear them singing loud and proud this Sunday at the LNER.
And I think you see that as well between the players and the fans at the end of games, the way they're mixed together as well. That's really good to see, even for a team that has started the season maybe not as well as they would have liked.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our players have always had a good relationship with our supporters. They always go and spend time with them after a game and mix with them, and and take that extra bit of time that's needed, which is, I think, is great. At the end of the day, it's part and parcel of your job, really. As players, you have these people coming and they're spending their hard-earned wages to support you. It's only right to go and spend a bit of time and give them that time because it makes their day, and that's what it's about. And we want to have that sort of atmosphere here. We want to create that, that sort of togetherness as a unit. Fan base, supporters, sponsors, and players and staff. So it's really, really important, mate.
And it shows as well what this club could be. If everything was to click, this club could be huge in rugby league circles.
Absolutely. Well, I've said it before, haven't I? I genuinely believe this is a Super League club in waiting. When that is, I don't have the answer to that, but I genuinely believe it is. I think it's got, like I said, a wonderful support base, which I believe has got the potential to grow further. I think we've got wonderful facilities. We've got a talented roster of youth and experience. We've got some wonderful sponsors that support the club and are really invested in what we're doing. And I think we've got a great backroom team in the office, which is growing as well, which is brilliant, and the value that they're bringing to the club. And then obviously from a performance department, I've got some wonderful staff that are there to support me and a wonderful group of players. So I think all in all, we've got the ingredients there, or the foundation, I should say, there to build from for the future. And really, really excited about what this club can achieve going forward.
Great, thank you.
Hendo, so reflecting on Sunday, not the result you would have wanted, but are you pleased by the spirited effort towards the comeback which came late, Tom?
Oh yeah, look, obviously, the way that we got ourselves back into the game and actually put ourselves in a position to win the game, was a credit to the team. To come from 22-0 down, that's no mean feat against any opposition. So, we actually put ourselves within 4 points with 12 minutes to go. So there was enough time there for us to win that game, especially with the momentum that we had at the time. But unfortunately, just probably a couple of decisions that certain individuals made, probably just reflected on that little bit of game management in that period. And I think, it's probably hurt us in a couple of games now, notably Barrow away and obviously Batley on the weekend, that final sort of 10 minutes. We just haven't managed that period well enough to get the result. So, on one occasion it was we were ahead and couldn't close it out. On another occasion we were in touch and distance to secure a late victory. So some good lessons to be learnt there, Gabe, for the team. And hopefully if we do find ourselves in a position similar again, then we'll be able to close that one out. But ultimately, we have to be honest. We probably did get what we deserved in the end. If we reflect on the game as a whole, we weren't good enough in doing the small things well enough for long enough periods. That's fact. So, we've got to be honest with ourselves there. And we still conceded 22 points. Which is too much. So so there's some elements there that we have to accept that we weren't good enough in, and we have to be better with. But I have to certainly commend the team in the way that they managed to get themselves in a position to win the game. But ultimately, we need to be in positions that we're not doing that, if you know what I mean. We need to be in better positions before we need to worry about that. But anyway, it is what it is.
And how pleased were you with the influence of Nick Williams coming back from his suspension?
Yeah, I was really pleased with Nicky. I thought he looked lively with the ball. I thought defensively he was tenacious and industrious. And I thought, to say he's had 4 weeks out, I thought he acquitted himself quite well. And I thought it just gave us Again, another point of difference, obviously last week against Bradford, it was predominantly everything was run through Liam Harris, and obviously we had Taylor Pemberton there that was obviously doing a solid job for us. But having Nick out there just gives you a different threat. You've got a genuine threat there on the left and a genuine threat on the right. So I thought he supported Liam and gave us that on the weekend.
And looking at your team news then, moving forward, James Gannon, how's he progressing?
Yeah, well, he went and saw a specialist, so he's had an X-ray to try and see if there was any break or fracture there. I need to get an update today, actually, Gabe. Obviously, he saw the specialist on Monday, so we're just waiting for that specialist report to confirm exactly what's happened there. Okay, but at the moment, he's not looking likely to feature for potentially a while.
And Will Dagger as well, how's he progressing?
Yeah, that wound's healing at the moment, so it's one of those, we just got to keep taking it week by week. He wasn't right last week. There was still slightly, partly still, not fully closed over. So we just got to keep assessing that week by week, mate.
AJ Towles has been not really involved recently. What's the reasoning behind that?
It's just a performance decision, mate, to be fair. Obviously, AJ, obviously he's had a tremendous season last year, as we know. Ultimately he's come into this season. There's been a little bit more competition for places on that wing spot, and just felt some of his performances early in the year, there was areas of his game he had to be better. He's still doing some good things, but needed some other areas there to improve, and we've had those conversations, and we're working hard to get him back to his best, and I just feel at the moment, Tom Lineman and Joe Brown, they did a great job on the weekend, so they're just keeping him at bay at the moment, but that's what we want. We want that healthy competition for places, and it's probably one of the few positions at the moment that we have got genuine competition for places. So, yeah, but his time will come, mate. He's a young player, and we've got to remember that too with him. He's still a young player, mate. You know what I mean? He's, he obviously played a lot of football last year. He's obviously had the opportunity to progress on that at the start of this year, and for other reasons or whatnot, he's not quite been at his best. I mean, you could argue there's been a number of players not at their best this year. It's not just an individual thing, but we're just fortunate that we are in the position where we have got a little bit more strength and depth and cover in that position currently, so we can make some decisions around that as coaches.
And looking ahead to Whitehaven, not the best of starts in the world, 4 defeats from the first 6. What do you make of them?
Look, they're a dangerous team. I think they've got some quality players in there, no doubt about it. So we've got to make sure we're on our A game on Sunday, and ultimately for us, Gabe, it's more about just focusing on what we need to improve on. There's some areas that we need to fix up, so we need to get those areas right. But we'll be aware of the threats that Whitehaven will possess this week.
And being back on home turf, will that provide that boost for you?
Yeah, well, look, it's always good to be back at home and against the home fans. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
You mentioned previously about trouble, with injuries and not in competition places. Are the Knights still on a transfer market and looking at options? Yeah,
we are looking around, Gabe, but it's just what's out there. It's there's not a great deal out there of players available, and also it's not just finding anybody. We've got to get the right, not only the right type of player, but the right type of person that's going to fit the environment, fit the style of play, and add value to the team. There's no point just going and get another body in for the sake of getting another body in. It's like, are we improving things there? We need people that are going to add to this squad and add to the team. So. Yeah, but we are looking. I'm not going to lie. We are looking to try and bolster in certain areas, and if the right players do come available, and obviously that we can essentially as well afford, then we'll look at it.
And the last thing from me, York Valkyrie this week announced the signing of Freddie Wilton. When speaking about the signing, Lindsay Anfield said that it came from you and your connections. What sort of came about there? How did that work out? Yeah,
it's just obviously, as we're all connected in the sport, aren't we? And obviously, I had a contact of mine reach out to me and made me aware that she was coming over and looking for an opportunity. And obviously that's what happens. You just then pass them on. I just got them in touch with Lindsay, because that's her decision to make on those sort of players. So, and it's rolled from there, mate. But it's great that, like I said, it's good that we have got good connections across the globe, and we can help one another in that retrospect.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No worries.